across, this is obviously this is Bay Avenue here, this is Chesapeake Avenue here, 5th Street here. Our site and directly across the street, primarily residential, smaller residential buildings. We've got larger buildings to the east along Bay Avenue. This is a proposed building that's in design further along than we are. This is going to be a multi-use building. You can see a lot of open space currently, parking lots around it. This is an open lot on to the south of us as well. So it's a pretty prime location currently. This is our intersection and our site off in the distance here. You can see the significance of this major intersection of Chesapeake and 5th Street. Our goal is to design a building that will reinforce this intersection, hold this corner, and start to set up a building edge along this block. Some of the surrounding buildings, taking a closer look at some of the buildings in the immediate vicinity. These are residential buildings, multi-family, so they're some of the larger buildings in the vicinity. Some of the common features that you can see right away are the sloped roofs and the siding, the wood siding or wood-like siding material. Some of the newer buildings are elevated off of the floodplain. Now these are our neighbors on the site. They are a different type of building, however. They're not a public building like we're addressing here. These are pretty private. Well, they're private residents. The insides of these buildings are reflected on the exteriors that you're seeing here. So they're the inside are living spaces, and so each room has its own little unique program and use, and that is typically a private function. Hence, you've got these buildings with a lot of solid wall with individual or small groups of individual windows. We call these punched openings because it looks like they're just taking a piece out of the solid wall to create those openings. This is something that lends itself well to this type of building, but like I said, it's a different type of building than we're dealing with. We also have some other more institutional type buildings or office buildings in the vicinity. Again, the wood-like siding, sloped roofs. Here you can see some characteristic steep overhangs of the roof along the perimeter. This one even has a feature that we want to emulate, which is a expression of the roof structure. Here you can see some little protrusions here along the eaves and along the soffit, which are actually supposed to represent the roof rafters, the roof structure. So they've displayed those and highlighted them and celebrated them in this particular building. But again, you've got the large expanses of solid walls with the individual punched windows, if you will. This particular view I like. I really love this gate. I think it's I like the artistic nature of it. The kind of I think if you look closely throughout town, you can really see the artistic background, the artistic sense that the town has in little eclectic elements like this. So again, looking specifically at our site, here's our site at the corner of Chesapeake and 5th Avenue. Chesapeake is a major vehicle thoroughfare, as you know. 5th Street's pretty significant as well for vehicle traffic. A lot of people, when they come into town, I know when I came into town, I came in off of down 5th Street, this way to the beach. So our site is sitting here at this corner. So we feel we've got two very significant facades, two very significant faces of the building that we need to consider so that we can address these major thoroughfares. That's one of the things that we're going to be trying to do with our design. This red area here I guess we're calling this the front of the building. So we're going to put the building entrance off of Chesapeake Avenue. This is still a very significant elevation as people come and go back and forth from the beach. This will be the entrance to our lower level of parking. I mentioned that some of the buildings are elevated for flood control reasons. Ours is elevated as well, but a little bit more so that we can actually utilize that space at ground level for parking. And we showed you the corner. It's a very significant corner. We want to keep that in mind for our design and emphasize this area of the building, not just in architectural elements, but with activity. We want to try to activate this corner so that we show the action that's happening inside the building, so that that becomes visible on the exterior as pedestrians or vehicles pass by. Natural features of the site. North is essentially straight up on this plan. The path of the sun is as you see here. So this south side of the building is going to get bathed in light through most of the day. That's a plus because of obviously because of the natural light coming into our building, but it also needs to be managed. So we're going to be looking at ways of tempering that light, of shading it, and having a little fun with the forms that can be created by these sunshades, which we'll get into a little bit later. We have north light coming in from this side. We want to consider how best to capture as much of that north light as possible. As you know, that's a very constant light throughout the day, very good for reading or really any other activity. It's a precious commodity, and we have a lot of it here on our site. Finally, views. We have water views to the east and to the southeast, actually. As you saw, we're 1 block away from the sands. So we're going to capitalize on this and try to take advantage of some good views in these directions. I'm going to show you some images now that aren't necessarily your building, not necessarily from our design. They're just images from other modern libraries throughout the country that we've drawn from for inspiration for the feel of certain spaces and their function. So I mentioned that we want to try to activate these areas and express the interior functions as much as possible and display that at the exterior of the building. So one of the ways we're doing that is by having a small cafe. This will be located at the entry level, the southeast corner. So this will be at the corner of 5th and Chesapeake. People sitting at the counter along the windows will have views out to the street and to the corner, and the activities inside will be visible through a large window in this area, from this area. On the second floor, immediately above that, we have the children and teens area. The teens area wraps that southeast or southwest corner right above the cafe. So there'll be a lot of activity from that function visible from the street as well. I talked about the main entry being right off of Chesapeake Avenue. We are going to bring the stairs that will take people from the main entry level up to the second level. We will have that stairs wrapping around an elevator and pull that out in front of the building along Chesapeake Avenue in a sort of tower structure. We intend to open that up for visibility to the street as well. So driving up and down Chesapeake Avenue, you'll see people walking up and down these stairs. You'll see the blank wall, which is the elevator, and that will give us an opportunity for possibly displaying artwork, temporary rotating collections, whatever, things that you can experience as you're ascending and descending the stairs, and also things to give people a glimpse as they drive by on Chesapeake. We're going to maximize window space as much as we can. There was actually a comment during some of our early programming meetings with the public. Some of the comments were they really liked the look of all of the glass that they were seeing in some of the examples that were presented during that session. So we want to take advantage of areas of glass as much as possible, not just so that from inside the building you get a view out into the outdoors, kind of brings those outdoors inside the building with you, but also for, again, the views that those will afford of the activities within the building visible from outside. So views inward and views outward, especially at night when this is, when the lights are on. We really want to activate that facade, give it a dynamic presence. We have opportunities for landscaping and use of outdoor space, not only along Chesapeake Avenue, the sidewalk that leads up to our entry stairs. We anticipate some planters worked into our stair system, and which will double as benches and seating for people just to hang out on those entry stairs. Likewise, we're going to have some terraced decks off the east side in that area where I showed you we had those views to the water. These areas will be landscaped, they'll be hardscaped, possibly some large planters, seating areas. The walls to the building will open up in these areas and allow the interior space to flow out into the outdoor spaces. So we want to get into how we developed the form of the building, how we arrived at the image of the building. Here you see some early studies of the basically block diagrams of what some opportunities were that we considered originally. It looks like a 3-story building when you glance at that. That's because we have this parking level at grade, and our library level starts the level above that. So that started to establish the overall mass of the building. I told you that we took the stairs and the elevator, put them in a tower-like feature, and pull them out to the front. So this is the front of the building that faces Chesapeake Avenue. Stairs and elevator are here. And our entry will be off of this side as well. So we looked at some monosloping roofs, tried to play with those a little bit, try to give a little bit of more form to that type of a roof. We looked at sloping roofs. We were drawn to these sloping roofs that are somewhat of an inverse to what your typical gabled roof is, and the typical gables that you see in the vicinity. We looked at some of those gabled roof options. We felt that this was served our purpose better of defining the main volume of the library building. So this is the one that we ended up developing, that we ended up pursuing. This butterfly roof, as it's called, it forms a valley in the center, which tends to highlight our entry slot, double high entry slot, and then it rises up to the south and to the north. That maximizes the amount of light that you're going to get in at this area, rises up over these lower roofs here to the north, gives us the opportunity for some clerestory windows to let in some of that north light that I was telling you about. We've got a monumental stair. We have to get up about 8 feet off of the sidewalk here. So that stairs opens up, and kind of helps engage this corner to, again, bring that activity out to street level and involve pedestrians and vehicles at this busy intersection. Then we just had a little fun figuring out what these walls might look like. Here's a little sketch that shows what I was just talking about with the butterfly roof, which Carrie reminds me also has an image, maybe conveys an image of an open book. So that's an appropriate metaphor that I hadn't considered. I think that's pretty appropriate. You can see our double high entry space here. Where are we going to do our windows? How are we going to group them? What's going to be solid wall? What kind of fun can we have with different forms on the outside? Maybe this could be incorporated into our sun shading system, and we can have some creative forms displayed in that. So looking more closely at this butterfly roof that we talked about, you can see here's some examples of some buildings that have that roof feature. Pretty dynamic structures, I think you'll agree, that really they really kind of convey a sense of motion, a sense of movement, really dynamic, and really draws you in. These are pretty exaggerated. Some of them are very exaggerated with their overhangs. We'll keep it a little more subtle than that, but this is the feeling that we're trying to convey with our initial massing. So now that we've got the massing of the building, we've got the roof in place, let's take another look at the site. There's not going to be any materials represented on this block. Just looking at the building forms and how that relates to some of the forms in the vicinity. Here's view coming down Chesapeake Avenue. You can see our corner. Stop it here. You can see our corner and how these stairs begin to reach out towards that corner. See the elevated section here. This will actually be the entry to our parking garage. The roof reaching up, grabbing that north and south light. We've actually pulled the roof out and enclosed the top of our stair and elevator tower. A lot of glass here, make that stair and the activities on that stair visible to the street level. We've taken some structural support for a large beam that supports the valley in our roof. We want to develop this as kind of a mast-like shape to kind of give a, kind of stress the nautical theme of this site. We talked about the materials in the vicinity being mostly siding, wood siding or wood-like siding. We'd like to take a cue from that, and we're proposing that our building be constructed with a similar type of siding material. We're not going to use a wood siding. We want to try to avoid the maintenance and the painting and the fading that's associated with real wood siding. There's a lot of new materials out there today. Phenolic is called a phenolic material. It's a manufactured material that has a look of wood, but it won't fade. Does not need to be sealed or painted. Virtually indestructible. And the way it attaches on the wall, you get this nice reveal that expresses the wood siding look that you see throughout the town. We have primarily a concrete structure, but so some of our beams will be concrete in the interior of the building. Those will be exposed. We want to bring in some wood features, wood beams, wood rafters, even wood roof decking. This will not be It looks like heavy timber. That's the look we want to try to convey, but it's actually a modern engineered wood material, much more ecologically friendly, more affordable, but still very nice looking. And we intend to leave that exposed so that as you come into the building, you can see the structure that's holding up this roof. The wood, the exposed wood will really warm up the space. So exposed wood inside the building, you can see the wood decking, which we hope to expose. The roof, this is the look of tongue and groove decking in between these roof beams. You can see that in this example, not only is that exposed and expressed inside the building, but these features penetrate the building wall and they're expressed on the outside of the building as well. We want to emulate that feature. You can see the wood rafters, the wood beams, as well as wood on the exposed soffit outdoors. Kind of gives it adds to that transparent feel that we're after here. And I mentioned the ship's mast. There's we're trying to harken back to shipbuilding and nautical themes. Maybe a head house at a shipyard. You can see these. They show the exposed roof. Exposed roof, like we're proposing. Exposed decking in the roof, and the mast feature that's going to be right front and center of our entry. Now, I mentioned the concrete construction of the parking garage area. That's primarily for durability and withstanding storm surge, flooding. So the walls will be poured in place concrete. The supporting columns inside will be cast in place concrete, round concrete columns. We're proposing to not cover that. We like for construction materials to kind of stand on their own, and we think there's a specific beauty in that. And we can take the concrete and ensure that has a nice finish. It can be expressed. We don't want to cover it with, say, paint or a stucco or brick or stone. We think that it can stand on its own and support form a base for our building above. Here you can see a pretty successful combination of a similar wood type material that we want to use and the exposed concrete walls below. Likewise here, they've done a good job of working together to get a nice finish on this concrete, and it blends well with the wood features that we show here. Not only will this be a more durable finish, maintenance free, but it should also be less expensive. We don't have to spend the extra money to dress it up. We think it can be made very attractive and would complement that wood siding quite well. Finally, with the design features, we talked about the sunshades on the south wall. We're going to want to, if we have glass on that wall, we're going to want to protect the interior from the day-long bombardment from sun. So we're proposing similar types of sun shading, as you see here, systems of horizontal slats. Here they're creating a certain pattern, a certain rhythm by varying the spaces between those slats. We want to pick up on that and do something similar. We're going to be looking at a combination of these slats in various orientations to try to give a graphic sense to this sunscreen on the wall, kind of like what they did here. You can see they had a little fun with it, articulating it a little bit to add some visual interest to a functional feature on the side, on the south side. So now we've got the form, and now we've got some idea of what the materials are. Let's take another look at the site and see how things are shaping up with the actual look of the building on the site. So wood siding, large open windows at the west facing facade. This would be the cafe area. So this is the view that people would have of the activities going on in the cafe. This is the teen area of the second floor of the main volume of the building. Here you can see the glass and the stairs and elevator beyond that. This is the north side of the building, so we wanted to wrap the glass around that corner, so we've got a transparent corner here. These are rooms that are set off from the main volume of the building. This is a large meeting room that can be divided down the middle for two smaller meeting rooms. Up above, we have the maker space and additional employee office space. We'll get into a look of the actual building plan here in a second. We're anticipating this is going to be the service side of the building. So we've taken the same type of a sunscreen that we'll show you here in a minute on the south side. We're going to incorporate a similar type of construction for a extension of the building facade to shield that service area from view from the street. Keep spinning around here. You see our parking lot next door. Here are the decks that extend out from the main volume of the building towards the east. So you're going to have the nice ocean views from this side, both from the main deck level and from the children's and teen area. This is a large overhead door that opens up and really brings the outdoors in for an extension of the interior space. Here's a view of our entry stairs. You can see how they open out to invite you from the corner in towards the entrance of the building. And our sunshade, which we've developed to express this ocean wave on the side. This will efficiently shield the interior spaces from glare of the sun, as well as throwing some very interesting sun patterns onto the floor, especially at night when with lights on inside this building. This thing is going to really be a beacon on the street. Heading a little further down.
So Tom, you just talked about being a beacon at night, and there are definitely some concerns about light pollution at night. So can you talk about reconciling being a beacon with also not bringing too much light pollution to the...
The light will not be directed skyward. Any of the fixtures that we have outdoors will be night sensitive, night pollution sensitive. We think the overhang from this, from our roof form, will eliminate a lot of the glare. And we're not talking about harsh lighting, just individual or just typical room lighting. So I don't believe that light pollution will be a major concern. These will be interior lights. It'll be more of a glow of the glass facade through this screen, and you'll get the two-story view here of the lights beyond the facade. Nothing inside the building shining directly outward.
Thank you.
Does that answer your concern at all, Carrie?
I think so. I was just pulling things out of the chat, but
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that is something that we will be considering. Let's spin around here again. and then head out. Front entry. Entry to the parking garages are seen here. Continuing down 5th Street and out to the water. So now that we know what the exterior image of the building is, I'm not going to dwell on the floor plan. That's really a topic for a more detailed later discussion. But since I have you here, let me just go over the floor plans just so that you have a sense of where things are within the building. We've been working with HBM architects who are library specialists headquartered in Cleveland. They came here and they've done, I think, a really good job of working with Carrie and others to get the program organized, work out the flow, and make it work within the site. An optimal setting, I believe. Now, as I mentioned, we have these stairs that come up from Chesapeake Avenue. This is the front of our building. This is the 2-story entrance that we saw. We are when you're at the sidewalk here, you're about 8 feet below this level. So you can take the stairs up. Our stair designs have changed since this was done, but you can take the stairs up off of the street. If you need an accessible entrance, you can walk right in off of the sidewalk into an elevator an elevator lobby. So you walk into the lobby here and you can have access to the elevator, take you up the 8 feet to land right here on the main floor of the library. So you come through the vestibule here, you immediately enter the main volume of the library. This is the main general collection area, service desk here, glass wall here. So as you come in, you can see right through the building into the landscaped covered terrace here, and beyond that to the open terrace. Very open feel, very transparent feel. We've got some workrooms partitioned off along the south wall. I mentioned the cafe in this corner with seating along the window so you can view out, view in. Other corner, we have a quiet reading space, individual reading rooms, and soft seating areas. From this area, you'll have some very nice views southeast to the water. Large meeting room, which we looked at as we spun around the building. This is around 200 seats, and we can divide it in half if you want for 2 smaller meeting conference room. To head upstairs, you take the stairs around the elevator or take the elevator, go up to the next floor. By the way, these waves that you see here, this is all part of the finishes package. This is different types of flooring, different types of carpeting, different types of vinyl tile planks to give that wave form and bring that nautical feel, that ocean sense into the floor plan that's expressed on the outside of the building. So as you come up this stairs to this portion of the building, this is the main volume that's underneath our butterfly roof. In the center, in the valley area, if you will, we've got a program room, opens up to both the children's area and the teen area, and actually opens up to the terrace as well. Maker space in the corner, beyond the main volume of the building, and some more employee workstations over here. Let's look at that in sections. So if we peel away the front of the building, this is kind of the view you get right as you come off of the elevator, right as you come off of the stairs from the second level or from the main entry level. Here's the program space that I was talking about in the low area of the roof, and then that roof extends upward with exposed structures, exposed beams, letting in a lot of that north light. Letting in the north light here, letting in a lot of that south light. You can see our sunshades through the windows here, and it's starting to set up this nice sun pattern on the floor inside. So looking at what this might look like more realistically from our corner. You see how it activates the corner, people coming and going, and being invited up this stairway to our double high entrance. You can see our battered mast that's helping to support the roof, large windows at the teen library and the cafe space. You see our waveform sunshade, large glass at the stair and elevator. View from the other direction, where off of 5th Street, as you enter and leave the parking garage, you can see that we're using this sunshade to also add additional shade at the 2nd floor terrace. So this will start to incorporate the railings around these open terraces. So this is where the design stands currently. This is the image that we're hoping to convey. I was talking earlier about an experience I had when I first began this project. I was talking about it with a friend of mine who happens to be an educator, really into libraries, and he knows a lot about some of the local libraries in our area here, and he was familiar with some new modern libraries that had just been erected in Anne Arundel County, Howard County, around here, and hadn't had a chance to check them out yet, but he just saw them as he was driving by the road and saw the building, saw the form, and it was inviting enough to where he said, man, I've really got to find some time to check that out, see what that building is all about. That's the kind of reaction that we're trying to shoot for in this design. We want people to drive by, see something unique, see a very dynamic, future forward-looking structure, and be compelled to explore it, be compelled to check it out and see what's beyond those walls. Whether they intended to go to the library when they come to North Beach, or just make the decision to make another trip back, specifically to check out the library. That's what we're hoping to do, and I'm hoping that that you'll feel that this design kind of takes us in that direction. So thank you for listening to me. I'm hoping to get some of your feedback and anxious to hear what you think. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Laura, since Tom's done talking, I'll answer your question out loud. There are meeting spaces for small 1 to 4 people groups. On the 1st floor of the library, there are 2 study rooms that would be exactly what you're talking about. And then there are some spaces for 1 person. Sure. You want to go to the 1st floor?
I'm having an issue with all my windows here. Let's see if I can. Here you go. So we've got the large meeting room, which can be divided in half. And I guess you're talking about these small study rooms, Carrie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Small individual study rooms for, maybe 4 or 5 people per room.
Mm-hmm.
Small.
And then in the quiet reading area, they're like the 1 person.
Right.
They're not study carrels exactly, but kind of
enclosed. These will be, glass enclosed areas for private reading.
And then there's tutoring space on the 2nd floor. There are 2.
They might not show in this one. Did they show in this one? Because this was an earlier version. I used this one because it was all colored up and pretty.
Yeah, I love this. The carpet that's going in is so dynamic. I believe that those 2 rectangular things outside of the makerspace are where the tutoring's designed for.
Oh, these guys, I think. Well, yeah.
No, those are display units. Anyway, there's some tutoring up there.
Tutoring space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then Tom, Gwen is asked if you showed the outdoor deck spaces. She stepped away for a minute, and I was focusing on chat a lot. So I think that he talked about the outdoor terraces.
I talked about them. I did not dwell on them when we were looking at the model here. We're gonna, there you go.
But yeah, there are two terrace spaces.
Here's the terraces. We've got a terrace.
There's a good view.
So we've got a terrace off the main level. This is a large glass wall that you'll see through as you walk in the main entrance. This portion is actually a covered terrace, all weather terrace, and then open terrace beyond. Up on the second floor, children's area and teen area. This is the central program room. This gate will open up and open everything up to their deck on this level. And like I said, this won't all be accessible. That's a lot of space for a deck. So we're gonna design it with just specific hardscaped areas, planting areas, leave some space for actual green roof trays for stormwater management purposes. Anything else? Any other comments?
Can you also talk about solar panels for a moment?
Solar panels? Yeah, that came up in a couple of earlier meetings, actually. And this roof, I think, lends itself well to the use of solar panels. You can see if we laid them along this plane, they would be in a good attitude for collecting solar energy. We're looking at it. It's all a matter of cost, budget, and recovery. When does it start to pay off? So we will do that analysis. We'll present it to Carrie and the county, and they'll make a decision as to whether we incorporate solar into the design.
Mm-hmm. And then Maria's asking if the terrace is child safe. And yes, it'll be as child safe as it can be, but of course every space is safer with adults.
Yeah, we will make sure you only need, by code, you only need a 42-inch high railing. We're going to go well above that. We'll probably have railings to 5 feet along the terraces in the children area. Mm-hmm. And we'll work to keep them back from the railing with landscaping and hardscaping.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely a concern.
We are going for a low liability facility.
Absolutely. That's why we took the sunscreens, and let's see here. You'll see we took portions of these sunscreens and rotated them 90 degrees because CJ pointed out that we were creating a ladder effect here. We don't want people climbing up here. So they've switched to a vertical orientation here, likewise up where they're accessible from the deck. That's why we have that shift in orientation in the screening. Mm-hmm. Still works to maintain the waveform, I think.
So pretty. I don't know if anyone on the call, Gwen, wants to talk about parking in North Beach. I don't know if there are any firm plans for the town, because as Laura points out, we are building a building in one of the existing parking lots for town. And so while there's currently lots of good street parking, we also rely on the gravel lot that's across the street, and that is got plans to become the Russo's multi-use facility that Tom mentioned early on. So there are certainly there are parking issues, and there will be, and there are some plans that aren't firmed up with the town for additional parking. There are currently 33 spots in that under that first level of parking. 33 spots there. There are 2 dedicated handicap spots on the street, and then a third on Chesapeake Avenue. There, a third spot that's not dedicated ADA, so that's a drive-up, drop-off spot there.
Now,
and it looks, for those of you that aren't reading chat, Gwen did respond that the town is addressing parking. They've recently added a number of spots via whole town assessment and striping, and they're also looking at other options for parking. So that's certainly on all of our minds.
And then one aspect that did not come up this time, came up in the last meeting, was the idea of the book drops. Mm-hmm. Here's a good view of the entry off the sidewalk at grade into the elevator lobby. So this will be after hours access. Inside here, there will be a bank of after hours lockers with a keypad and a book drop. Also on this corner, there'll be a after hours book drop as well. This one leads to an automatic conveyor that takes them up to the library offices, which are located right here. Now another issue that was discussed was access from the parking garage underneath the building to the main library level. And we did not extend the elevator down to garage parking level, primarily for flood reasons. It can be done, it's expensive, and it's a maintenance nightmare as well. So what we have is a door and a few steps that take you from the parking level up to our elevator lobby. And then from there, you can take the elevator up to the main floor.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry if you already said this, that main lobby that's accessible there from Chesapeake is 24/7 access. So there's I think you said there's a book drop in there, mm-hmm. and lockers for after hours pickup of holds. Right. So sorry if you probably already said that.
Bears repeating, that's fine. All right. So I guess the reactions are all in the the chats.
Yep. So
right. Anxious to see them. Want to see what you guys think. If you have additional suggestions. One thing that was suggested before was the finish of the wood. We're showing kind of a natural dark wood. We're going to look at some options for different colors, essentially. Maybe the look of a weathered wood that might give it more of a beach-like appeal. So we'll be looking at that. We'll develop some elevations, show you what this looks like with that color concept as well. So we're not done designing. This is just a part of the process.
Yeah. And I've just put my email address into chat if you want to reach out to me after tonight. If you had any thoughts or anything that you didn't share that you or want to make sure gets paid attention to, please do feel free to drop me an email.
Any questions for immediate response? Yeah. Yeah, I miss the face-to-face community meetings.
I know. Oh, I know.
Unbelievable.
I was going to say, stop by the library and talk to Joni and Melissa and the rest of the staff, but that's not the best option right now. So drop us an email. We'll be sure to get back to you.
Are the finishes still on display at Prince Frederick?
Well, when you say on display, the building's not open to the public yet.
So that would be a no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got to see it. I was there. So
we can put those samples again. We can try to get that website page that is in my dreams. We can work on getting that in place and be able to show people the finishes.
Prop them up outside the door.
Yeah, right. We got a glass wall somewhere.
Right.
Whether we do this in person or whether we have to do this on Zoom again, our next public meeting will be in September. And by then we hope to have enough of the interior worked out that we can do like a 360, might make you dizzy kind of amusement park ride through the interior of the new library. So
walk you through the building and out on the terraces. Yeah, looking forward to that.
So that'll be exciting too.
Yeah, very much.
But thank you all so much for coming tonight. We are super excited about this project and can't wait to make this happen. So
yeah, hope you are too. Because we certainly are. So thank you very much for your attention. I appreciate it.
Yep, you're getting lots of thank yous, Tom.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Oh, there's a question, Tom. Mickey's asking on the concrete of the parking area. Is that a place that lattice work could be applied or possibly some type of non-invasive, non-damaging vine or greenery? Be an interesting place to have some green.
I don't know if Tom's still there. It was
Oh,
just
did he
something
go?
that, yeah,
He's had a long
that
day,
hit
but this
me
is the
earlier.
second round. Okay. Well, I'll write that down and we'll talk about it, Mickey.
Yeah, that hit me earlier in the first one,
Yeah.
where it could be something we could put there. If like, it could be something later too, like if we don't like the concrete or how it's aging, possibly something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that would break up the cars, and who knows, like if you direct the gutters to it, it may be able to eat up some of the rainwater depending on how you plant it.
Right. Yeah, we'd like, I mean, given that it's a fairly small parcel and that it's mostly building, we're trying to fit as much green as we can around the building to kind of make it feel like it's more in a park than on a corner. So
yeah, and like I know you got to be careful with what you plant so it doesn't damage anything.
Yeah.
Like English ivy is great, but it destroys finishes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Anything else? I'll shoot you an email. I had a few random things, but
Okay.
I like how it turned out. So
yeah, it's got great possibilities. Of course, we're still at it, but I'm pleased with where we are.
yeah, I'm happy with all the staff space.
Yes, the staff are too. I'm going from that tiny little room and all of their really super creative storage options right now. It'll be nice to have space for programming and classes.
An elbow room. Elbow room would be nice.
I know. You'll barely know what to do with yourself. Do you see me underestimate how many seats were in the meeting room just because I'm so used to things being small?
Still, 100 is still a good amount.
I know, 100 sounds like so many compared to 0, but no.
I'm just thinking like trivia. Nice.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it was something it was more the final like small details later is mechanical access to the roof for the HVAC and stuff. Is that like a secured ladder outside off the terrace or something else? So
it's not I think it's an interior ladder to that space. Yeah,
it's stuff like that goes through my head.
Yep, you're a detail guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were not going to put a ladder on the outside of the building. I think that's access from inside.
I know my mom, dealing with book drops and other things, said to be wary of the one book drop down at the base of the steps, as it would become a trash can. So that was her comment when I showed her quickly one of the pictures. It was like, be careful of that.
Yeah.
Now that also means like, hey, we should put trash cans nearby.
We'll have to put trash cans on that corner and recycling bins. Yeah, very good.
And then I know the post office long ago had an issue with the blue mailboxes becoming structures where people who were sick found instead of a trash can. So she also sort of mentioned that as well for the book drop.
Well, there's a cheerful thought. Thanks, Mickey.
She's a librarian and she's had to deal with those books. So
I know. Well, the last thing we need is someone puking in the automated materials handling system.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So that it was just like thoughts like that type of thoughts. So
hearkening back to the original structure on that property, right?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
But yeah, those are two things she mentioned just about that, where it would be like, think about it. And it was like, look, we can have trash cans, but people will do what they do.
They will. Yeah. Those are good thoughts.
And the other thing is like, cool, just make it well lit then, so people won't be as likely to.
Find that as their safe corner for,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Or as prominently lit and cameraed as possible. So people know it's like, oh, don't do that.
Right. Yikes.
So
It is pouring rain here.
it's
Nice.
not here yet, but I think it will be shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's good.
and then I like the overnight book pickup, the lockers.
Yeah.
I really like that. And then the book return in there is nice too.
Yep.
So
That'll be a nice thing. Everybody will be jealous of that.
oh, I'm sure, but it'll be one of the things where it's like, how can we modify the rest of the libraries for it once
Yeah.
you improve the system?
And obviously during this pandemic, we're already starting to think about like, how can we have lockers everywhere?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yep.
Who is it? Rexel in Prince Frederick, when they move spaces, they put some in for electricians to be able to pick up supplies. So they just took a space with a doorway
Great.
and put like a normal code like on each of the locks. You just punch in your code. They'll shoot you an email with it. So
Yeah. It's cool. It's a special use for commuters.
mm-hmm.
Yep. Great.
So.
All right.
Right, cool.
Well,
Anything else,
I'll look forward
email
to your
you.
email. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Carrie, I had two quick questions.
Sure.
Do you have a minute?
do.
Is there a staff entrance from the garage?
There could be. So the emergency stairs that go down the north side of the building could be a place where you could enter as staff. Yes.
And then I was discussing with Bev, we were texting. The north side of the building, there was mentioned that was service entrance. There's not really an entrance from the road though. It goes through a parking lot. I believe it's the parking lot that belongs to 91 Bay Avenue. And isn't that a private parking lot?
So the delivery truck will pull up beside the building on
Okay.
our property, but they'll go in through the front vestibule and up the elevator.
And what was that whole service entrance on the north side?
So the trash, the dumpster will be there. So that may be what he was talking about. I had I was paying attention to chat, so I didn't always hear what Tom said. 'Cause I can really only do one thing at a time right now. My COVID brain does not allow for multitasking. So
That's understandable.
yeah, so I
It
suspect
is
that
like
that's
an access road is what was shown on another drawing, Lynn.
Yeah.
So it's like a road that even the parking lot actually comes out a little bit and you go around.
it's just a little alley-ish sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Mayor Fraser is calling me. I better go. Hello, Mr. Mayor.